There was a trending search topic today hitting second across the nation on the Chinese Twitter hot searches. 2.2 million yuan verdict in the Haidilao urination incident has taken effect. Okay, I feel like this one may need some explanation. In today's economy, there are a lot of ways to go bankrupt. And in today's society, there are also a lot of places where you can enjoy a delicious meal. I mean, really, the possibilities are pretty much endless. And you may think that there is zero correlations between the two sentences. But matter of fact, the Haidilao urination incident is a textbook example of the two combined. So on February 24, a regular-ass Monday, two teenage men, 17 years old, walks into a Shanghai Haidilao branch in Waitan, this exact location. Now, I've been there. Besides the fact that it's a little crowded sometimes, I think it's generally a nice place for a pleasant dining session. So what could possibly go wrong? I mean, is it a little expensive? Perhaps, but it's not gonna break your bank. So they rented a private room, and while they were eating in the private room, they felt the urge to go to the bathroom, which is also a fairly common scenario. But what's not exactly common is that the devious individuals we have at hand decided that instead of going to the bathroom, they could just go right here. I mean, I don't have the best eyesight, but come on, mate. Now, how do we know they actually did it? It's because right after they went home, just 3 days later, they posted the damn video. Yep. As if Brainlet 1 said to Brainlet 2, hey, want to destroy our career prospects? And the other guy was like, yeah, I thought it through, bro, just send it. And the clip obviously began circulating online immediately. You know how it goes. Local for you page, 30 million population city, not a good combination. And that's essentially what transpired initially, but then if we just take a look at Haidilao's official response to the scandal at the time, the PR department says they discovered the video online on February 28th, just one day after the video was posted, so they actually caught on pretty fast. But the problem was, they were unable to determine the time and the location of the incident. So as the sentence then follows, we have no choice but to report the incident to the police in Jianyang and other places, conducting self-inspections of 1,400 stores in 15 countries and regions at the same time. It's as if the CEO was like, we gotta find me these motherfuckers, man. So Haidilao begins the witch hunt. But fortunately, because they are a multi-billion-dollar company, and with the assistance of the police department, they were able to locate the crime scene, which was the Shanghai Haidilao in Waitan district. Yeah, why is it always Shanghai? Why is it always Shanghai, man? But they were also able to locate the perpetrators at the same time, which have now been detained. Haidilao then checks their dining records and confirmed that they did not in fact consume alcohol at the restaurant, although allegedly they were drunk at the time, which makes sense because nobody's doing this shit sober. Now, I remember seeing this story go viral when it was first exposed, and I remember thinking at the time, hey, firstly, half of China didn't need to see this shit, but number two, if you really just think about it, it's over for that table. Right? Because matter of fact, I may not be a picky customer when it comes to my dining experiences, but if I walked into a Haidilao hot pot chain restaurant and found out that my table has had a history where some hot pot hooligan has been draining the dragon in my chili-based pot, yeah, matter of fact, I don't think I'm gonna... Yo, excuse me, can I get some chops? Wait, what? This the piss table? Ah, fuck. Wait, move down? No, thank you. I can't be bothered. Just bring me some hotter chili, that'll do. That'll fix it. No. And I think a lot of people would share this sentiment. Because matter of fact, after these criminals have been shackled, everybody was curious, right? You got him. So what's next? How are we gonna see these hot pot hooligans get punished? Well, why don't we direct our attention to Haidilao's response on the 8th of March. We thank the police for their quick and efficient investigation. Haidilao has always prioritized food safety and customer experience. The restaurant in question has already replaced all its pots and utensils, including chopsticks, and has also undergone a relocation-style cleaning and disinfection. And the rest is then about kitchen operations. Rest assured consumers, Haidilao officially out. But, Haidilao, what about the people that dip their beef in the piss pot? Okay, so firstly, from the standpoint of the corporation's perspective, Haidilao expresses that we should always strive to be a bigger person. And I mean, fair enough, because after all, a publicly adored, franchise-scale national treasure dubbed as the king of hot pot shouldn't be too harsh with a few unruly peasants. So Haidilao's answer is that we should always be lenient, especially considering the fact that we have minors involved. Not exactly a good answer for the public outrage, but the netizens let it slide because we love you, king. But then, on top of that, Haidilao also claimed that they reserve the right to pursue legal action against those responsible for malicious dissemination, which is the act of spreading the news, and that was unfortunately a bad decision. Because not only was there no compensation to the people that were dining in that table during the time Haidilao was figuring out what had happened, but the angle of fire had flipped entirely, turning 180 degrees towards the very people who were trying to hold the perpetrators accountable. So after those responses, Haidilao was met with the most intense intense backlash ever received since the existence of the corporation, as netizens began dragging Haidilao to the shadow realm. Oh, so you mean minors can go to your place and pee wherever they want? If that's the case, I won't go to Haidilao anymore. There are too many hot pot restaurants to choose from. You can ask Haidilao. Memes about Haidilao being a public bathroom began flooding Haidilao's comment section. The situation is dubbed as the biggest PR failure of all time in Haidilao's history. Basically, as negative sentiments from the wider public builds up more and more, the situation is very clear to the corporation that nobody is letting this shit slide but you. So then, on March 12th, Haidilao releases a third response, officially caving in to the public backlash. Main points are, firstly, an official apology to the public for betraying their trusts, but secondly, a compensation plan to the 4,109 customers that was affected, who of which dined from the duration of 24th of February all the way to, I think, 8th of March, where Haidilao would provide both a full refund as well as a 10x cash compensation into their accounts. This netizen, for example, didn't even realize that the situation has happened until the 6,000 RMB hit her account. And this following maneuver, of course, costed Haidilao more than 20 million RMB to settle, coming to around 2.8 million US dollars. But then there was one more thing, because the perpetrators weren't brought to justice. Well, of course, what about the perpetrators? Thirdly, they sued for 23 million RMB. Holy shit, which is far out. Can you guys imagine what conversation went down in the boardroom? All right, the people have spoken. What do we do, gang? Slap them on the wrist? Yeah, don't let him get away. $23 million?
Yeah, $23 million.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Check this out. On March 10th, our company filed a civil lawsuit against the two men involved in the case with the Shanghai Huangpu District Court, resolutely pursuing legal action against them, seeking a 23 million RMB compensation. Now, the penalty, of course, received overwhelming support on social media. After all, it was the public that demanded the justice to be delivered. But then another common sentiment was that, hey, Haidilao, I know we said that the perpetrators must be brought to justice, but do you perhaps have a solution in mind, somewhere between benevolence and intergenerational debt? Which brings us to the present, because fortunately the court has actually determined that the families involved were pretty much ordinary households with limited means. You know, so the court then officially ruled as a final decision that maybe, and perhaps, that 20 million RMB isn't exactly feasible in action, even if they are willing in spirit. So the responsible parties must pay 2.2 million yuan in total compensation, in which the Shanghai Huangpu District Court has also ordered Mr. Tang and Mr. Wu, as well as their parents, to apologize to Haidilao. So the parents are to pay 130,000 yuan in tableware loss and cleaning fees, and an additional 70,000 for legal fees, plus an additional 2 million yuan in operation losses and goodwill losses. Which I think is a win. A lot of controversy, but I think at the end of the day, you did cause a 20 million operation loss to another entity, right? And the basis of the issue that stands in court even is that this was seen as a teenage delinquency first and then parental failure. The court has actually even ruled that the compensation must be paid from the perpetrator's own assets first, and then the shortfall will be covered by the parents. And I believe the family is now facing severe financial hardship. But in my perspective, it's always been that if you do the crime, you do the time. But then I think it's also important to note that it's not been a good year for Haidilao. People aren't giving into that luxury spending habit as much as they were before. And you can see this all over the news. Matter of fact, the luxury dining industry in China is slowly dying. Haidilao China is even trying to pivot out of that luxury dining status that they've built up over the years because they're getting outpriced, they're getting outmaneuvered by smaller food vendors. Look at that dude. Feels bad to be a Haidilao holder right now. Anyways, that's the whole story. F in the chat for the king of hot pot.